don't even know if there's words. I mean, not even in a movie have I seen something so just sick.
Coming up next, more testimony from a woman charged with killing her stepfather after she says she found nude photos of herself on his computer.
A city initiative to clean up trash around homeless encampments. Is it working? That story coming up.
Ensuring that no senior spends the holidays alone.
These Southern Californians were all extras in the movie Titanic. And 25 years later, we take a look back at the blockbuster.
CBS 8 News Live at 6 starts right now. A Solana Beach woman admitted on the witness stand today that she hid her stepfather's body under a pile of trash, but says she didn't kill him. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Carlo Cicchetto.
And I'm Carrie Lane in for Marcella Lee. Jenks broke down in tears today as she testified about finding nude photos of herself on her stepfather's computer. CBS 8's David Goffredson joins us now with the emotional testimony. Good evening.
The 39-year-old took the witness stand at 9 in the morning today, but it wasn't until the afternoon that prosecutors had their chance to cross-examine her. They allege she drugged and suffocated her stepfather, Tom Merriman, because she found those nude photos on his computer.
I couldn't believe it. I was in complete shock.
Jenks on the witness stand testifying about the day in December 2020 that she found more than 100 nude photos of herself on her 64-year-old stepfather's computer. She said some of the photos had been taken when she was a teenager, and apparently they were stolen from her laptop and camera.
Had you ever made any sexual overtures toward your stepfather?
No.
Did you tell him that you had nude photos of yourself?
No.
And you never showed him anything similar to those, correct?
No, he was my dad.
Prosecutors allege the nude photos were the motive for Tom Merriman's murder, and that Jenks drugged and smothered her stepfather on New Year's Eve 2020. The case against Jenks hinges on text messages she sent to friends on the night Merriman died. On cross-examination, the prosecutor showed one of those text messages that read, quote, "I just dosed the hell out of him."
You would agree with me that the phrase, "I just dosed the hell out of him," implies that you gave Tom a whole lot of drugs.
It does sound like that.
Jenks testified Merriman had consumed whiskey and taken sleeping pills before he passed out in the back of her 4Runner.
I've seen Tom drink a lot more. I don't know what he had taken, but I've seen him take a lot of pills. I didn't think anything was going to happen to him.
The prosecutor then read another message where she texted a friend, quote, "I can't keep a kicking body in my truck. I'm about to club him on the head and he is waking up."
I sent these messages not knowing that all this was going to happen. It was going to get read. It was more just like, I'm getting frustrated. I could club him on the head. It wasn't like actually club him on the head.
On New Year's morning, Jenks testified she found Merriman dead in the back of her truck, and she admitted driving him next door to his house and putting his body under a pile of trash in the driveway.
And I didn't want to get blamed for killing him.
Did you kill him?
No.
Other witnesses testified Jenks told them she wanted to strangle and suffocate her stepfather. The case wrapped up today. Closing arguments are now set for Monday morning in North County Court.
This is definitely an interesting one. Do we know the makeup of the jury?
8 women, 4 men, and they have to be unanimous.
Do we think that's going to play any kind of a role in a conviction here?
Well, there is a lot of, emotions about those nude photographs found on the computer. It really resonates. It's very prejudicial evidence, and it plays a lot of a big role in the case.
How much exposure is there? What could she be sentenced to?
She's facing 25 years to life in prison if convicted on that single count of murder.
Really outrageous case. David Goffredson. Thanks, David.
California businesses will be no longer required to pay for COVID sick leave.
The department in charge of workplace safety, Cal OSHA, voted yesterday to end the requirement. As our political reporter Morgan Reiner tells us, the latest move does not come without opposition.
Important note, Cal OSHA has had this requirement in place for 2 years. It's separate from the California law, which required the same thing, that employers pay for COVID paid sick leave, but that's also set to expire at the end of this month. If you caught COVID while at work, employers were required to pay you to stay home, something Jenks Cassidy, the director of the California Work and Family Coalition, has fought hard for.
We hear from a lot of times our restaurant workers, farm workers, people who, clock in, need to be on the job, but then often when they get sick, there's just no protections. Even the paid sick days we have can be harder to access in some of these types of industries.
She is worried about the impacts of this requirement ending.
People should not have to choose between literally being able to go grocery shopping and take time when they're sick. And people will often probably choose to work sick. That makes other people sick, it makes the public sick, and it's also just really bad for their own healing.
Robert Mutry with the California Chamber of Commerce said even when the requirement ends, there are already protections in place for people. California workers are all entitled to at least 3 days of sick leave.
You have to look to what laws remain in effect, right? Before the pandemic, we had sick leave for folks to stay home, paid and unpaid, a mix of federal and state. But separately, I think a lot of people don't know, and I would urge them all to, hopefully they all hear this interview, that workers' compensation also can apply if you catch COVID-19 in the workplace, and that will continue to apply.
He said if not now, when?
On behalf of the chamber and I think the business community, I would say that now, 3 years into the pandemic, employers have borne these costs for a long time, and it's a fair time to say that it's the right time for those practices to end. Given our advances in vaccines and other drugs like Paxlovid, we're really in a different place than we were 2 or 3 years ago.
Cal OSHA has made their decision, and Mutry says that they can change it again for another 2 years the next time they update their workplace requirements. But lawmakers can change it in the form of a law when they come back to session next month. That's something that Jenks Cassidy says is the #1 priority for her group, something they helped pass the last time around.
The latest COVID-19 vaccine booster is now available in San Diego County for kids as young as 6 months. The FDA approved the expanded use for younger kids last week. This comes as the county continues to deal with the triple threat from COVID, the flu, and RSV. Health officials strongly urge people to get vaccinated for both COVID-19 as well as the flu. When it comes to the updated COVID-19 booster, only about 4 in 10 of U.S. adults have actually gotten the shot or at least plan to do so. That's according to a survey from the Kaiser Family Foundation. It also found that less than half of adults are worried about more COVID cases and hospitalizations this winter. Only about a third who were surveyed are worried about getting seriously sick.
Some breaking news just into our newsroom. A tentative deal has been reached between union student workers and the University of California system to end a 32-day strike. United Auto Workers, the union representing the student employees and researchers, says the tentative deal includes, quote, major pay increases and expanded benefits, which will improve the quality of life for all members. The deal still needs to be ratified by a vote, which is expected to happen next week. The city of San Diego says a new initiative designed to pick up trash around homeless encampments is working so well, they'd like to expand it.
CBS 8's Shannon Handy went to see for herself. She has more on the program and some of the concerns that are surrounding it.
The program has been around for about 8 weeks, and during that time, the city estimates it's collected more than 120 tons of trash. But some question whether some of this stuff being thrown out includes people's personal belongings.
It's no secret San Diego has a huge homeless problem, but have you ever wondered what happens to all the trash it piles up around encampments? Back in October, the city started the Enhanced Hotspot program to take care of it. 7 days a week, crews scour the city looking for encampments or areas known for illegal dumping and clean it up.
Get It Done is the main way that we receive reports throughout the city of concerns that residents want taken care of. This team is actually driven by going out and finding areas on their own and taking care of them.
Franklin Cooper-Smith is the interim deputy director of environmental services. We spoke with him today at J and 17th, where a crew was working. While While there, we noticed some of the homeless making trash piles to get picked up. Cooper Smith says that's become a common thing.
They know they're here to remove any of the waste within the area. So you can see there's actually several piles around here that have been created.
Something else we noticed, the crews don't go near any of the tents, even though under the city's municipal code, they're not allowed on streets and sidewalks during daytime hours. Cooper Smith says it's not this team's job to enforce laws or clear out encampments, saying that's up to the police and a separate abatement team who must give advance notice.
They will go and they will actually post in the morning and let everyone know on that block that, hey, either in 3 hours or in 72 hours, depending on where they are, that there is going to be an abatement taking place here. And then those crews will be the ones that will be addressing the encampments themselves.
So how do the people who live in these tents feel about the city's efforts? One man named Larry told me he appreciates it.
Yeah, they're doing a job.
But some people have been critical, saying people's personal belongings are being thrown out. Cooper Smith tells me code compliance officers go out with each crew to help identify what's trash and what's not. As for the program's future, it's slated to continue until February, but Cooper Smith says it's proven to be so successful, collecting 125 tons in 8 weeks, he hopes to expand it, adding while it may not solve the homeless problem, they're doing their parts.
This is a big group effort, and this is just one piece of the puzzle.
For CBS 8, I'm Shannon Handy.
Thanks, Shannon. A local nonprofit hit a major milestone today, 11 million meals delivered. Mama's Kitchen marked that milestone by making a special delivery to a longtime client with the help of Mayor Todd Gloria. Thomas Willeret has been working with Mama's Kitchen since 2005 after his HIV diagnosis. He says their medically tailored meals helped him get through the worst of his illness.
With my open heart surgery I had, it took me well over a year. Without them, I don't know that I would have been able to survive.
The nonprofit began delivering meals to HIV and AIDS patients in 1990. Now, they work to provide 3 meals a day to San Diegans facing a variety of illnesses.